Digital technology. So what we're looking at here is what we call the digital technology sector, which appreciates highly skilled people, be it you're a founder, be it you're an entrepreneur, be it that you are a senior executive in a digital company, not just a digital company now, but a product-led. So what that means is that product-led, because over time, if you were to apply for this, you're going to see the word product-led come up over and over and over. So what that means is that it's a digital technology company that is product first. And so they create products, they build products as their day-to-day or their as the mission. So that's what this is about. Okay, so here it says, what if I'm already in the UK? So usually I have a lot of people who have worked with where they come in as students or with the student visa. Like I have some friends that they come in with their wife's student visas, and they say, oh, you know what, because the student visa is a year, and then they don't want to go through the hassles of having to get a job, and you know how uncertain that is as well. Okay, what can they do? And so if they have extensive, I'm going to explain this, extensive technology background or something reasonable, more reasonable, based on what the UK feels is reasonable experience or expertise, then they can apply for this. So when they apply, what usually happens is, so there are two parts. What we have the exceptional talent, and then we have the talent promise. Okay, exceptional talent and talent promise. So for talent promise, is such that if you have minimum of 2 to 3 years of experience in technology, then you can get talent promise. I'm going to tell you the advantages of this, each of them down the road. Then for the external talent itself, which is that one, you need reasonably over 5 years of experience in digital technology, digital technology, most importantly, a product-led company. So the two advantages of each of them is that for the exceptional talent, you have 3 years. For 3 years, you get a 3 years visa, a technician visa, global talent visa, 3 years. And then that 3 years allows you to bring your family or even a sibling as a dependent. And then so while you get your 3 years, and so usually you get about 3 years and a bit of about 3 years or 2 or 3 months extra, which allows you to file for your ILR, which is your indefinite leave to remain, which is your permanent residency after 3 years. So for the, what do you call it, for the other one, which is the 5 years, which is the talent promise, it means that it takes you 5 years to get to the same place, which is to get your IRR or your permanent residency. And of course, you also have the same thing, the same benefits the other person has, the other talent external talent has, which is you can bring your family, you can live, you can work, you can do business if you want to. It allows you all that. The only thing it just doesn't allow you during that period is access to public funds. That's what it doesn't allow you to do. So that's that for that. So usually for people who already are here in the UK with this visa, with maybe a student visa or some other visa, they can switch. If they eventually apply for this and they get this, they immediately switch their visa to the tech talent visa. Now, key things you need to know is that they recognize two parts, which is technical applicants and the business applicants. For the business applicants, these are people who are more like CEOs, CTOs, COOs, VPs, or perhaps heads of or senior or heads of companies or founders. That's for this business part of it. Then we have a technical part of it. These ones are those who are able to demonstrate technical competence. So be that you are working for a digital tech company and you are able to show your technical competence in terms of strategies that you've helped your company, you've helped your company achieve growth through strategies, or you build product for the companies, and you can show evidence along those lines. Okay, so that is for these two. So now let's look a bit about the technical competence, technical skills. So we have DevOps engineers, system ops engineers, principal software engineer or developer, or if you are a data scientist or data engineer, or you have background in AI, NLP, machine learning, you're a machine learning expert. Then we have also cybersecurity experts, hardware engineers, experienced front-end developers, operating system engineers, web game developers, UI, UX designers, mobile app developers, and so on. That's for the technical competence. So let's look a bit about the business side of it. So we're looking at people who are, maybe you are a VC of an investment firm. So of course, over here it says 25 million pounds, but I mean, I've seen people who have not invested up to 25 million pounds and they have gotten it. So if you're a VC, and I mean, you don't, even if you haven't done up to 25 million pounds, you can still apply. And of course, if you do the right things, you're going to get it as well. So we have people who are experienced as a commercial or business lead, sales, you're a salesperson, or you've done strategies, distribution strategies for businesses, for tech businesses, digital tech businesses. Of course, it's also for you. Then maybe you have experience in expanding or growing a significant product-led digital tech company business. Maybe you're a business developer, for example, and you can show revenue, you can show growth, you can show sales. It's also for you. Then we're looking at fintech, financial technology. We're looking at education technology, even health tech can also apply because we're looking at health tech. So if you're in health tech and you built core products, digital products in health, of course. And of course, we also have the solution sales experts, yes. A couple of, two more, the product manager, yes. Last one is a software as a service or enterprise sales leadership for digital services. So I think there's a few more that are not detailed here. But the whole idea is whatever company that you are in, so long it's a digital tech company, which is product-led, meaning that your company, your digital tech company builds tech products, then this visa is for you. Okay, so here I just talk about a few of the things. I'm just going to jump this. And so other things I know on this document are, so what is the, what is the application stage like? So what is required of you is usually you're required to have at least a minimum of about 15 documents. So what technician requires from you is about 15 documents. And so that 15 documents is such that the first one is your personal statement. So technician has a guide. Technician has a guide which allows you to properly articulate and tell your story. You know, so the guide has things like why are you coming to the UK? Why do you want to be in the UK? Why would the UK benefit you? How would the UK benefit from you? What other technology or ideas or innovation are you bringing to the UK? You know, so you have to, where do you want to live in the UK? That's what you need to write in your personal statement. So it's a guide that you must follow through and through. The next one, that's one. The second one is your resume. So usually when I talk about resume, I talk about also your resume matching what is on your LinkedIn, because usually they check what is on your LinkedIn. So the next one is your resume. So your resume needs to tell the story, whatever story your resume is telling, it needs to be the story of the things that you're going to bring or add in your evidence documents. Okay, so that's two. Then we have 3 letters of recommendation. Three letters of recommendation. So what these are, so you need to think about yourself and think about people you know in the industry, people you know in the tech space. People say, so I always tell people, it mustn't be people you work with directly. It could be some people you know that know your work extensively, and they are pretty up there in the tech industry. So if you can get people outside the country, international, wonderful. But they must be known, and they must have a resume that is the same, that looks exactly like what they have on their LinkedIn, because usually they also do their checks to verify that this person is who they say they are. And so you need to get these three people to write you a letter saying, this is who you are, this is how they know you. So the first say, this is who they are, right? Then this is who you are, this is how they know you. Then they now talk about other things. But the whole idea is that you should have had a conversation with these people based on, oh, I want to apply for this visa. This is what I'm going to the UK to come and do. This is what I want to do do for the UK. And so they will interpret all these things and write it in the letter. There's also a guide which you also follow. You also need to follow. So each of them is to interpret these things and write it. So there's some rules which is important, which is that each of these letters must be at least minimum of 3 A4 pages, maximum of 3 A4 pages, right? 3 A4 pages. The fourth page will be some sort of identification for the person who is writing that letter for you. Okay, that's the fourth page. So it could be their ID card, it could be their resume, something to show that it is this person that actually wrote this letter. And most importantly, the letter must be on their letterhead. So they must be able to use the letterhead to write a letter for you, and they're going to sign it and date it, put their phone number and email, and of course, put either their CV or their ID card or something of that sort, of that that talks about who they are actually. So you do this across board for the three of them. Another thing you also need to also notice that usually a lot of people, you need to sit down with whoever it is that is going to write it for you so that they can follow the guide through and through. I've seen a lot of people who have been failed because they're going to tell you, oh, yeah, okay, the person wrote the letter for you, but it doesn't address why you're coming to the UK. It doesn't tell us what you're coming to the UK to come and do. It didn't even talk about where you're going to live, right? And so these are things that a lot of people conveniently, or maybe, I don't know, somehow they miss it. So you have to follow it through and through. So that makes it about, 5 documents, which is the 3 letters of recommendation, your resume, and your personal statement. That's the 5 documents. Now, the next 10 documents will be 10 evidence documents that talk about who you are, your history. So if you are the founder of a company somewhere, somehow, there's a history, you have a history. Whatever it is you're doing right now in any tech company, you have a history, you have other jobs that you've done. You probably have products you've built. You probably have some, maybe some strategy documents you've developed. Or if you're a developer, maybe you've built some softwares. If you are a UI UX person, you have some wireframes, okay? You need to be able to show beyond reasonable doubt that you are who you say you are. You need to show those documents. And so what usually happens is that there is a guide that has over, so the guide, how does technician rank you? How do they score you? So they have the key criteria, then they have optional criteria 1, optional criteria 2, optional criteria 3, then optional criteria 4. So the key criteria is that you must choose that key one and at least find, validate yourself against some of the criterions on that key criteria. Usually I recommend do 3 or 4 on it. Then you can now split the rest. So maybe you can go to optional criteria 1, pick 2, go to the next one, pick 2, based on how you can find. But everything all together, you must come with 10 evidence documents to tell a story saying this is who you are. And sometimes some questions around your technical competence. Have you built software? If you have built your software, show us the evidence of your software. Evidence shows the impact of the software. Okay. So your evidence, you need to be able to show something that it is you who built this software beyond reasonable doubt and tell that story. Beyond the software, they want to understand how you contribute to the community. So if you have not been contributing to the tech community as a tech expert, then you're going to score a 0 there. So you need to show something. So not just telling them, oh, I've done this. You need to come with evidence to say, I have done this. Okay. And that is that's just a summary of the 10 documents. So usually what I do is the process where I work with people to help them develop their documents. And I'm saying, but almost everyone I've worked with has gotten their their visa. And this is because usually I'm a tech person. I've been in tech space for over 9 years. I have a tech company. I've built tech companies in the past. I'm currently building a new one. So I understand the context of the Nigerian tech space. I understand what it is to build what companies. I understand things you need to do to validate because I'm in it. Okay, so I work with people to help them get their documents. I tell them what to do because also I am a recipient. Okay, and I applied for myself and I got it, and I'm doing the same for others. And that's why we're having this conversation to see how we can do this for some of you who may be eligible. And so how do we look at who those are eligible for this? Is what I call, so usually I offer free calls, okay, you know what, let's even see your background. Let's just have a small conversation, 10 minutes call. Let me just see that, okay, yeah, okay, you have something. Then the next stage will probably be, it's probably, if you're up to it, I will feel, okay, yeah, because in the end, it's about you. You need to feel confident enough that you can get it. You need to feel confident enough that, oh, okay, I have what it takes. Because it was the same about me. Oh, I look at it, it's okay, yeah, I have what it takes to get this. Okay. And so it's all about, it's what also you have to show me that you have what it takes. And then the next call is probably it's what we call the exploration call. And the exploration call, usually I had one yesterday night and it took about 4 hours. Started by 8 a.m. at midnight. And what we do on that call is that we sit down, we look at your job history. So why that took over 4 hours is because the applicant had a history. He's been in tech space for over 9 years. So what we do is we look through every of those experiences he has had, the job, the products he's built, and we analyze every of them and we begin to counter check them into the criterions. So it's all about, so how we do it is, okay, this is what they're talking about. This is what they want you to have. Do you have this? And he says, oh, because usually you can't remember everything that you've done in the past 10 years, or in the past 5 years, or in the past 6 years. Okay, so it's during that session that we explore your history. We're looking at your CV, we're looking at your job bio, and we say, okay, when you were doing this, what were you doing? How many products did you build? And then, oh, well, okay, I built this. Oh, okay, I remember I did this. Oh, can I find this document? And then for every of the things you've said you've done, be it a strategy, be it a process, be it a product, be it a system you created, you will need to find an evidence to validate that, evidence showing your face or your name or something that what you call it, that tags you, you know, that combines you to that particular creation, that it's you that owns it. And it's why we do that call. So usually a lot of people want to just jump in and say, oh, okay, Mr. Please, I always tell people don't be overconfident because the UK Home Office, the technician, I've had people who are confident, they didn't apply through me. Of course, I know that normally if they did the right things, they would have gotten it, but they feel, oh, I can get this, they go and apply by themselves. And then of course, they come back to me for the review. Say, oh, Baba, I applied for this, I didn't get it to, can you help me with review? And I was okay, yeah, let's sit down and let's do review as well, which is also a charge service as well. So what I always tell people is the session is very important. Sometimes if you are a talent promise, which is maybe you have barely 2 years, maybe by the time we are doing an hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours, we're done with your session because you probably don't have a lot of history. Okay, and so in that session, what we do, so we call it a metrics. It's a metrics that we develop against using information from the technician guide. And so we use that to score you. So I always employ everybody who wants to apply. Some people say, oh, let's just pay you, let's just jump in and I said no. Because I have a score rate of 100%. Everyone I've applied for so far has gotten it. And it's because I know their pedigree. And it's because I make sure, so some people come to me and after the metrics, they get maybe 20 over 200. I score them and they get 20 over 200. And there I say, hey, this is what you need to do. So usually for those who feel they don't have it, and the report shows that you don't have it, the metrics show that you don't have enough, you score 20 over 200, 50 over 200. So what that does is that in there, we have described everything that you don't have. And we have described everything that you have. And so it's like a roadmap, okay? It's like a manual for you to say, okay, you know what? For the next 1 year, I want to apply for the next 1 year, starting from today, I want to apply for the next technician visa. And these are the things that I'm going to do deliberately down the line to get this visa. I'm going to tell you a bit about myself. I think in 2019, 2017, 2018, I tried to apply for it and I didn't get it. I tried to apply for it, but I felt that I didn't have what it takes to apply for it, so I didn't. Then around 2020, early 2020, someone mentioned it. I said, oh, yeah, I tried thinking about this in the past, but I didn't think I had what it took at the time, 2017, 2018. So I went back home, opened my laptop, downloaded the document again. And when I looked through it again, I saw that I had everything that I needed. So subconsciously, all my throughout 2019, I was making sure that I was documenting everything. By default, I documented a lot of things. Okay. And so if I go to an event, I save the video. If someone called me for something, even if you send me an email to come appear at an event, I'll tell you to do an official invite as a PDF, which has your letterhead. And so if you actually want me there, you're going to do that. And when you do that, I save it. I save it. And of course, I tell you this how I want it. If I go there and I do a good job, please send me a thank you note. And so the invitation letter is an evidence. The thank you note is an evidence. The video of me actually appearing there and talking is an evidence. The slide I took to that event is an evidence. The pictures are evidence. I'm going to pack everything together and say, yes, I went to this event and I did this. So anyone who's saying that, the person doesn't even need, who you are telling that thing, the person doesn't even need to know you. Once you have provided all those layers of evidence for that particular thing, beyond reasonable doubt, they are going to say, oh, yes, he actually went here because you have all the evidence. Anybody can write anything, but once there's a pictorial evidence, there's a video evidence, you can't fake distance. Okay, and so this is how we layer these documents upon documents to ensure that we validate against the guide on the criterion. I think I'm going to stop there, and then maybe if there are questions.
Wow, thank you so much, Blaze. I was just going to update my WhatsApp status saying all speaking engagements going forward must come with an official letterhead. No more WhatsApp engagements. Engage me through my email. That's really amazing. Wow. That's so great. Yeah, like you must create a flyer, an official letterhead. It's now very, very important because the caliber of people here, as you can see, we're not a lot. So the caliber of people here, I know a lot of them personally, like one-on-one, you know, and they do good work, like very lovely work. So I know it's something that a good number of them here will get, you know. So is that documentation part now that I know that I'm not sure if a lot of us do it, right? But at least we've learned now. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, please, this is the time. Blaze, you were talking about the skills, right? So digital marketers, copywriters, technical writers, they all fall under this category as well, right?
So the thing is that, technician is quite funny. Let me tell you why they're quite funny is that they have so much that they say on the platform, but there's also so much that they're not saying. I mean, for people who read it, most of the time you go somewhere you're going to see that as a talent promise, you only need to get at least on the major criteria, on the key criteria, you just need to pass like 2 of them. And then on the, maybe pick one of the optional criteria and then pass one of them. That's what I'm going to tell you somewhere. So that means you're looking at like 3 documents. But then when you go down and you keep reading, somewhere you're going to see that you need 10 documents. And so for some people who make the mistake, I've had people who have made the mistake in the past and they go and submit only 3 documents. They tell them sorry. And then the problem with that is that when you apply for review, oh yes, there's a review. If they fail you the first time and they don't give it to you the first time, there's option of free review. And when they give you the free review, it happened to someone that I know, he applied by himself. I mean, he's a big guy, he's raised funding a lot. It's probably like, it's a name everybody, you guys all probably know right now in the tech space. And he's building this big company now. And he applied by himself. I think he uploaded about 5 documents or thereabout. And then they didn't give it to him. And then in the review, they told him, oh, you know what? You need to bring this, you are like someone we can give this visa to, because we've seen your profile. But you need to add this, bring this, bring this, bring this, bring. They mentioned like 6 things that, and then he came to me. I said, okay, Baba, you know what? Let's do full-fledged 10 documents for them, as you should. And they mentioned, I said, you need to go back to the guide and see some guidelines. So I said, yeah, this is the guidelines. We do 10 full-fledged 10 documents for them, as we should have done it, as you should have done it. But then guess what? When he now applied again, they said, sorry, that we don't allow introduction of new evidence in review. And then he sent me the mail. I said, Papa, but these are the same people who tell you, say, bring more documents. Are you getting my point now? And I said, the only option you have is to apply afresh, and which is what he's doing now. And so what I'm trying to say with this is that with these things, so when we talk about digital technology, it's vast, but then they tell you product-led, which is a company, which is a digital tech company, but they are building products. Product-led, what product is a company building? So if it's a health startup, it can't just be a health news, right? Fine, you have the health news platform, but then do you have other products that you built? It could be a survey product. It could be a test and trace product. Okay, it could be something that sends people automatically emails to go and get their vaccines. Like for example, now I think I was supposed to take my vaccines. I think it was yesterday or so. But I mean, I think I probably have missed it, my second dose. But something that reminds people, oh, you need to go and take your vaccine. Some solution. Okay, so it doesn't matter whatever it is. In the end, is it a digital tech company? Is it a product-led tech company? Because you know why? You need to be showing those products. I have a journalist that I work with. As a matter of fact, he just left my house. He came in last week. He just left my house with his wife and his kid now. And his what do you call it? His application was the easiest that I've worked on. It took, I think it was just his endorsement took like 3 days to come in. 3 days, but he didn't know. It was after a week that he now had to mail technician. They were like, they forwarded his stuff like a week ago to the UK Home Office. Like, wow. And he went and then saw something in the draft, the mail in the draft, that they invited him to come and apply. Someone to come and apply for 2 things. And he was a journalist, but guess what? The news platform is one of the major news platforms where they cause trouble right now in Nigeria, right? Doing a lot of investigations. But guess what? The news platforms built products. They built products, and the guy was the person who was building those products, leading them. So being in the media was not a problem. If you type his name on Google, you can get to page 10 of Google, and his name is everywhere. And his name is there furthering the products, talking about the products that he's built. So you can't even deny that it is him that did it. So the work was not, it wasn't even just, the work was even easy. Because whoever is reading it, you are seeing the evidence, you're reading, oh, I built X, Y, Z. Oh, this is the news clippings. You put like 3 news clippings that I did this. And by and large, before you know, he got it. So what I'm saying is that in the end, it has to be product-led. I would have answered the question.
Okay, thank you so much. Does anybody have any question they want to ask? Then my other question would be, you said something as regards, so the recommendation letters, they have to come from like people at the top in the tech space and everything. Yes. So part of the service that you offer, does it include like helping us get people that will write that letter? Because what if we don't know anybody at that level? What do we do then?
So I think that's not really the problem. That might not really, see, letter is not the problem. So usually when I talk to people and, it comes down to money, like, okay, how much do you charge? And then I tell them how much I charge. They'll be like, but this money too much. I'll be like, see, the money is not even the problem right now. I'm not even asking you to pay the money for the, I just only need you to pay for the exploration call, which is probably some pounds per hour to just, because I need to be sure that you can get it. I need to be sure that I don't want all your money. Just pay this just for the session where we will talk about your history. We'll talk about everything. I need to be sure that you have evidence. If you have extensive evidence, there is no how that you have extensive evidence in the tech industry, right? To show that this is who you are across these 10 criteria, that you're not going to have 3 people to recommend you across board. So that's usually not the problem. If you've done the work, like someone called me from a friend of mine back in Nigeria, called me. It's okay, he has someone in Coventry University, blah, blah, blah. He's a student and he needs him to get this. I said, okay, fine. I said, let him call me. And when the guy called me, he said, okay, that he wants to do the visa. First thing I asked him was, do you have 3 people?
I'm trying to grow my reputation as a graphic designer first.
Hello.
Then I can usually get.
Abiodun, please, can you hold on? He's answering a question.
So, and I asked him, do you have 3 people in the industry that can endorse you, in the tech industry that can endorse you, that are pretty high up? And he said, no, that he doesn't know anybody. I said, Papa, you can't get this visa. I am always playing like that. You know why? Because, fine, I mean, I like money, yeah? Who doesn't like money that is here? But the thing is that I need to be sure that you can get the visa. So if in that exploration call, I'm not convinced that you can get the visa, we can't proceed to the next stage. Do you understand my point now? So I usually, so if you've done stuff, because let me tell you something, so they're going to ask you, what products have you built? Now listen to these things. What product have you built for your company or for any company you've worked for? Okay, how can you show the product? Be it showing it as schematics, show it as wireframe, show it as impact, show it that maybe you were a product manager and you had, of course, this sort of like agile frameworks and all that, using those softwares and all that, being able to show. Then they ask you, how have you contributed to your community? Oh, you're a tech person, you're a UI UX person. Okay, yeah, but of course there are UI UX communities. How have you committed, what do you call it? How have you supported them? If you're a developer, there are open source communities, GitHub, Stack Overflow, GitLab, and all that. How many commits have you done? How many people have you submitted? Because all those things will show on your profile if you have been there. That your profile on GitHub, very important. That your profile on Stack Overflow, very important. Same thing on GitLab, very important. So if you've been on GitLab active on 5 years, you will see that the way those forums are structured on your profile, it's counting. The number of things you've viewed, the number of programs or codes you've written or comments you've made, the comments you've done, the posts you've posted, all those things, the things you've read, the things you replied, everything is on your profile. That's the way those forums are constructed. That profile alone, just have screenshots and a link to it. That is an evidence. So if you've done these things extensively, I mean, you can't tell me that if you supported different communities and different projects and you've been at several panels, you can't say you can. Let me give you a simple example for me, myself, for example. What did I use for my documents? In 2019, I traveled a lot. Probably I was about in 7 countries in 2019. And I can tell you, it was 2019 I got all my documents. I mean, unknowingly, but I think so, underneath, I was documenting everything. And by standard, when you send me an invitation to appear anywhere in the world, you aside the email, there will be a PDF document, official invitation letter. One of the documents I used, I mean, I got someone at Bloomberg to write me a letter. I got like 4 letters. Someone at Bloomberg, someone at a media company in New York. I got someone at the US Department of State to write for me. I got someone from Mozilla Firefox to write for me. Why? Because I have been at their events and they've invited me to do things for them as a speaker or a panelist. And when Bloomberg invited me, Bloomberg sent me an invitation letter, right? This is what the event's about. Now listen to this. Every invitation letter comes like this. Oh, Mr. XYZ, I'm inviting you to do this. Because we're inviting you as a speaker or featured, whatever, because you are so and so. We want you to come and do XYZ. Now, one thing you need to understand is any event that you are using as evidence, it must not be paid though. If it's paid, I can source it. Either it's paid or it's something your company sponsored. It's an event your company sponsored, they're now bringing you on as a speaker. It won't work. So you must not even point to that at all. It must not be paid or sponsored at anywhere at all. And so when I got the letter after the event, so when I went to the event, the way I do things, I mean, so I didn't even know I was going to apply for all these things then, but I document. I had the invitation letter. When I got the event, I just called a friend of mine in the audience and said, Baba, take this camera, best snap me. I think no get picture when they finish. He snapped me while I was doing my training. The booklet they sent to me, it was a booklet as part of the merch they sent to me with my picture in it. My picture is on the first page on the booklet where the speakers are. I took a screenshot. There's a part where they're talking about what I'm talking about. That's the session part of it. I took a screenshot. My ID card, I took a screenshot. When the thank you letter came in, oh, Mr. Blaze, thank you for so for doing this. I took a screenshot. And all these things, I added this in that document as one single document. One single evidence. There's no how. I still went to go and take a screenshot of the event in news. Oh, about this event, blah, 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 blah. I still put it there in a screenshot. All these things as one document. And so usually we go to events, but we don't document. Sometimes we don't even take pictures. We don't even stand to take pictures. So it's about being deliberate. So what do that session that I have with people is, what it's is that we sit down, we trash out everything that you've done. We trash out everything that is in the criteria, what you have and what you don't have. So at the end of it, you may score 40 over 200, you may score 50 over 200, but that serves as a roadmap for you going down the road to say, oh, I must do this. I must reach out to this. I must do this. That's what that document does for you. So in the end, it's like a manual, like a roadmap. So you work with it. So if you say, oh, you want to apply in 7 months based on your score, then use it as a guide. You want to apply in 1 year, use it. I have someone who's working with me right now, but he says he wants to apply in another 7 months. And so he's taking everything gradually. And again, one last thing before I stop for the questions is that when you're doing anything, if you apply next month, anything you did, you used, any event you went for this month, they may not count this month and previous month, they may not count it. So you need to go farther, previous your history for you to be able to use this thing. So I'll stop here.
Thank you so much. Abiodun, are you ready now for the question? Abiodun, are you there?
I think Tolu is raising her hand. Maybe we can have Tolu then.
Okay, Tolu is raising her hand. Okay. Tolu,
Hi, good evening.
Okay. Good evening, Tolu.
Good evening.
Thank you, Jay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Yes,
can.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Blaze. So my quick question is for ICT trainers, like you're the one training others. So when it comes to events like the one you asked us to start documenting, what if you're the host hosting these events? Does this count as, documents?
So the question is, remember, we're not looking at just one document, we're looking at about 10 documents. Right? And so even if you count as an event host, right, of an ICT, so let's say, yeah, I mean, I have people who have applied that they have companies that they create events, ICT events, training events, which brings people, but you need to be tech-focused events, yeah, which brings people to train them and all that. So for that, you need to show, yeah, I created this event, I did this, but then you need to be able to show evidence that the event has over 100 followers, over 100, not 100 registrants, so 100 attendees. That is the minimum, right? Then you need to show maybe other strategy documents about the events. Maybe there are other process documents about the events. If there are pictures about the event, of course, if you are the person who hosted the event, there should be some picture of you, video of you talking about, welcome guys, the welcome note, for example, video of welcome notes or picture of welcome note or something, and then other things along the line. But then the question is this is not just what we're talking about now, because when you do this, there are other things that are down the line. You still have about 9 other questions to answer. So this is just one document. Are you following now? So, but then usually when I tell people, when I talk about this event, I tell them, if you have done something like this, you shouldn't, for events, yes, there's a place for event. That is, it says outside of your day-to-day activities or your normal job role, how have you contributed to the growth of your industry initiative? Your industry initiative as a founder, entrepreneur, or senior executive. And so that is where this falls in. So even if you pass this one, there's a part where that asks about your technical competence. What have you built? Products. So the question is, whatever company you are talking about right now that does this event, do you have products? Is it a product-led tech company? If you say yes, then we'll say, okay, then it means you've scored one and you probably score the next one. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, does anybody have any more questions before we call it a night? Blaze, I'm going to send somebody your contacts. Somebody just sent me a message requesting for your contacts. He applied, got rejected last week, and needs you to come in to intervene. Okay,
Okay.
Anybody?
Okay, sorry, please. I have one more question. I
Okay.
thought you were going to share his contact because I would also like to speak with him.
And so if you're interested, because like I said, I know almost everybody here. Okay, so if you want to speak with him, just let me know. I'll share it with you privately, okay?
Yes, I was going to actually request for his number as well, or channel to communicate with him as well. Thank you.
I'm sharing it with everybody that has requested now. So just simply say the word and I will do it.
So one thing I want to add is, remember what I said that usually, I mean, everyone can get a free call or free chats, 5 to 10 minutes thereabout, and you can ask me some questions and I'm going to answer. That's questions. I mean, that is usually, so we are here, right? And so the reason why we're here is for you to ask your questions. So this is also a call. So I believe that you should be able to, the same thing, this is a space for you to ask a question, which, I mean, if I wasn't on a call with you, that's when you probably would have asked that question, but you're here. So I think you can have the opportunity to ask a question and I can answer you. And then other things that have to do with deeper digging when it comes to exploring your career and exploring, that is one that I charge for, which usually is, trust me, the guys from yesterday, the couple from yesterday night, at some point in time, they were saying, Blaze, they tire. And I said, well, you've paid me X, Y, Z amount of money. And you're asking me if I'm not tired. I'm only doing what you asked me to do. I'm only rendering a service because we need to look at your history. We need to look at your career. We need to look at everything you've done, the processes, every process you've created, every system, every strategy, every policy you've worked on, and every product to say, how does this thing match to what they require? And beyond that, how do you find an evidence? Where can you find an evidence to pull that evidence and add it to the document that is needed? And so it takes a while. So I'm just putting that on the table. Of course, you can have my contact and then you can tap me up.
Okay, all right. Any other question, guys? Before we call it the night, we have 3 minutes to 9 p.m. Says, I joined late, please, is it possible? Oh, definitely, there's going to be a recording, so that's not an issue at all. If you asked me for his contact, please check your WhatsApp. I already did that. 3 people asked and I've sent it already. Okay, good. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being a part of tonight's session. If you have techie friends, please let them know that this is a very, very, very fantastic route for them to come to the UK. I'm on a different visa, but I also know that I'm going to port to this one and my application starts this year. Okay, because I mean, depending on the one I get on either the promise or the exceptional talent, I'll either have either 3 or 5 years, with it I can bring my family, but with my current visa, I can bring my family now, but with my next 2 years after my study, during my 2 years, I can't bring them. And it doesn't even count, for the very long time I'm now going to stay back. It doesn't even count. That my 2 years does not count. So now you already know why I am potting. Okay. So thank you so much, Blaze, for making our time. You made this as simple as possible for people to learn. And for as many of you that are looking to get on this, I'll deeply encourage you to do so. And hopefully by this time next year, we look forward to having you in the UK. All right. All right, guys, have a wonderful night. For those of you who requested for Blaze's contact, please check your WhatsApp. I've dropped it already. All right. So in the absence of any other question, this is me and Blaze signing out. Good night.
All right, guys, good night. Cheers.
Yeah.